Hey everyone, this is the final, well not final, the official recorded tutorial for our brand spanking new patent pending pancake wreath frames that I were so excited about. So Damon and Parker from Deco Exchange and myself, Melissa from Sincerely Creative Mom, have paired up, teamed up, took a wish list and made all of our dreams come true. So the pancake wreath originally is designed to be a flat wreath to fit between the doors. It's not just the ruffle that makes the pancake wreath. It's the whole recipe together. So we took all of our wish list items and we made them into one frame that is the answer to all my dreams. I totally love it. It's going to work great. It's going to work great for your wreaths. It's going to work great for classes. So many things. So this is the 14-inch. It actually comes in a bundle with the 10-inch. Okay, so they come together. Now this is going to make, the 14-inch is going to make about a 24-inch wreath. So it'll be 24 inches wide. The 10-inch wreath is going to make about a 20-inch wide. So standard size and then a little smaller. It is great, perfect for so many things. I will be listing them individually. You could also list them as a set. So this could go like on the front door, this could go on the side door, or the garage door, or inside the house. They could be matching. You could sell them as a pair. It's going to be so great in so many ways. The ideas are definitely endless. But let's get started on the first and foremost, the easiest, the best thing that this frame offers. So number one, we have perfect little holes. Let me just zoom you in here. We have perfect holes and coordinating notches for where your pipe cleaners go. We have two tiny holes here, two tiny holes here, and two tiny holes there. This could be for where you attach your sign. So you're going to add your twist ties to the back, and then you'll put it in just like this, and then this will be a spot that you could attach your bow to. Okay, we're going to get into that in just a minute, but that's what the little holes are for. The big holes and the notches, the coordinating notches, are for you to put your pipe cleaner through, pull it out to the edge, crisscross, twist, twist. Boom. Done. You don't have to worry about it sliding. You don't have to worry about anything on the back, making it scratch a door. It is perfection. It is perfect. Easy to teach when you're teaching classes. So just like that, put your pipe cleaner through that center hole, bring it out towards the side where the notch is. Nice and tight. Twist, twist. Done. Let's go in just a little bit closer if I can. Here we go. So in through that center hole, bring it out to the outside notch, crisscross, twist, twist. Now that twist is kind of like sitting right about the center, but I'm going to be really honest. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that twist is sitting right on top of the this hole here in the center, or if it's centered. So I'm going to try to get it center, but if you happen to get it closer to the actual hole, that's okay too. It's really, in the end, it's not going to make any difference. So I'm just going through and adding our pipe cleaners nice and tight. You don't have to worry about anything. It's perfect. Right where those notches are. Twist, twist. So I was to the point where I was, even for classes, I was preloading the frame to make it a little easier for the folks who were taking the class. I don't have to do that anymore because this is very self-explanatory. Perfect, perfect. So we have 12. The pancake recipe is 12 for your budget, for the spacing, for the design. The lucky number is 12. Okay, so we have 12 twist ties, 6 evenly spaced around the outside of the frame, 6 evenly spaced around the inside of the frame. Let's put these, not that they need to be that way, but just so you have a visual. So we have 6 around the outside, and 6 on the inside. Evenly spaced. The inners are evenly spaced between the outers. It's perfect. Okay? Totally perfect. So then we're going to cut mesh. So remember, this comes as a set. We have a 14-inch and a 10-inch. For the 10-inch, I'm going to use bright green just so that you can see. But the 10-inch frame, and that's going to be a different video, but the 10-inch frame, I'm going to focus on using the outside twist ties. So the outside of the ring, I'm going to focus on using those. So here, 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 and here. Right where that green twist tie is. So that's for the 10-inch. So on the 10-inch, I'll use 6 twist ties. That's going to be a separate video. You're going to want to see both of them because, again, they come as a bundle. So with one roll of mesh, if I was doing coordinating wreaths or something I could use the same mesh on both, I would use one roll of mesh for both rings. It would only take me one roll and I would get a base for both. Okay? All right. So we're going to cut. We're going to do it together so that you can see. I already cut 2 pieces because I thought I was going to kind of do it ahead of time for you, and then I thought maybe we should do it together so you really understand what's going on. So I'm taking our 10-inch mesh and I'm going to cut it 20 inches long. We need 12 pieces for our pancake wreath. So the pancake recipe calls for 12 pieces at 20 inches long. 12 pieces at 20 inches long. Now, when you're cutting your mesh, it's a woven material. Make sure you're cutting and you're using applied pressure so that your cut is nice and firm. Preferably on a mat, not like mine. I have like mine's even, it's so old and I've cut so many here, it's even like buckling there because I've used it probably for 4 years. And cut on the 20-inch mark over and over and over again. So apply firm pressure. Nice and even. Now I am going to cut this whole frame. I'm going to cut it for a reason. There's no point in doing a tutorial if I'm not going to show you exactly how I would, I'm not going to do it exactly how I would do it. So what comes off this frame in the beginning is very loose. Hold on, I'm going to show you. Very loose. See how big that circle kind of is, right? And what's starting to come off now, it's a little more wound. See how small that is? There's a reason for that, and I'm going to talk you through it. But the last 6 pieces that come off of here, I want to make sure goes on the 14-inch frame. I'll talk you through and tell you why. But just remember, if I'm going to give you all the tips, I may as well give you all the tips, right? So I'm cutting the whole roll, but I'm cutting the whole roll on purpose. This I think is extra. Let's just see. So we have the last 6 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 pieces here. I'm going to set these aside as a bundle. And then for my, now the reason why I don't want those 6 is because they're nicely tightly wound. So I want what goes on the outside here, something that's going to be able to expand when I let go of it. And those pieces that came off, the first 12 pieces that came off, they're going to work better on this frame. So I'm going to take 6 more pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm going to set these aside. All right, we're going to take this, put these over here. Now, what we're going to do is, I don't need these anymore. What we're going to do is, we're going to take our frame, and we're going to add one piece of mesh to the outside. So the only thing different in our pancake wreath is the frame, making it super easy, very self-explanatory, very firm, very good solid structure. So we're going to take our mesh, cut 20 inches long, and I'm going to ruffle up the center. Okay. And then I'm going to take and go on, we're going to work on the outside of this frame first. So just like I always do, put that mesh down to that frame, crisscross, twist, twist. Okay. Now the pancake ruffle is going to make sure I take the left side. Now I'm right-handed, so this is how I do it. I take the left side and put it over and under. Take the right side on top and over. So I kind of layer that there, and I'm holding my hand a little bit, overlapping this part, taking it on the top, and then kind of making sure it goes snug underneath or next to those two pipe cleaners, because I need them visible for when I come back through for the next layer. And then I'm going to take all those little ruffles and ruffle it kind of under, kind of inside out, so that it stays round and very flat like a pancake. So the idea of this wreath is to give folks who are, you know, who've used wreaths on their front door, they put them between their main door and their storm door, and they're used to that. And sometimes to get people to change, it's, you know, difficult, and they have a lot of concerns. And so we needed to make sure we had a option for those folks who like to put them between their main door and their storm door, especially since I live in Michigan and lots of folks here have the storm doors. So I had to come up with something real thin, and I still wanted to make sure my budget and their budget was going to fit the wreath. So we're going to ruffle it right up the center. Ruffle, 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 ruffle. Ruffle, ruffle. Now watch what happens when I let go. Lots of coverage there, automatic. Right? So we want to make sure our job as a wreath maker is to cover the frame. In most cases, sometimes we like the grapevine exposed. In this case, we for sure want the frame to be covered. Same thing, overlap here. Overlap on the top. Snuggle that right under, making sure I can still see those pipe cleaners come out. Oops, I don't know where that came from. I like to work on the outside first because we do so much work to keep it round and flat. So once it's complete, I don't like to disturb it. So we're going to work on the outside frame, outside twist ties first, and then we'll come in and do the exact same to the inside. Overlap, overlap, snuggle them in, snuggle it in over here, and make sure all those little ruffles are turned inside out so it stays round and flat. Okay. It's caught. Right on the outside. Mesh right down to that wood. Crisscross, nice and tight. Twist, twist. Overlap, overlap. This frame keeps the back nice and smooth. There's nothing sticking out on the back or underneath your frame. nice and sturdy, so you could add as much weight to it as you wanted. I mean, I guess within reason, right? Everything has its breaking point. Okay. So perfect for if you're adding florals, if you're adding a wooden sign, if you're adding a ball garland, if you're adding evergreens, it's going to be perfect for all that. Grab my pipe cleaner from the center, turn that up, wiggle those under, kind of snuggle it under, making sure all my ruffles are turned inside out. Again, making it nice and flat, the whole thing. Okay, so from here, now leaving those inside twist ties alone, I'm not going to touch them still, but I just didn't want them to be covered so that when I'm ready for them, I can come in and grab them. So I'm going to take our ribbon. So I took two, my favorite, this is my favorite recipe. We're doing a traditional style, nothing extra, pancake style wreath. So we have two 2.5-inch ribbons. They're cut 14 inches long. I put my favorite on the top. I dovetailed the end, so all I did was fold them. Cut on the fold up towards the edge. Oops, up towards the edge, and it gave me that nice pretty V look. So then I took them, kind of lined them up so that they were even with each other, folded them in half so I could find where the center is, unfold, and then I'm going to scrunch up the center. Nice and tight, and then kind of mold it so that all those edges are coming out towards the outside. In this design, I don't want any ribbon going towards the inside because it's going to be covered up by our sign and a bow on the inside. So I want all that money we just spent on those ribbons to come right out towards the outside edge. Put ribbon right down to that mesh. Again, crisscross, twist it, twist it, twist it, twist it, nice and tight, making sure it's not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to push that in. You're not going to see it. So I'm going to pull those apart and spread them apart. Pull them apart and spread them apart. That helps our ribbon stay in place here. I'm going to do that all the way around. I already have these pre-cut. It was really important that I thought you saw the whole mesh thing just because it is a bundle. It does come with both frames together, and I wanted you to see that it could very well, you could very well use one roll of mesh for the two of them. Now the ribbon, if you're using 10 yards of ribbon, excuse me, if you're using 10 yards of ribbon, you have enough ribbon to do this 14-inch frame, the 10-inch frame, and as long as you just put 6 twist ties on the 10-inch frame, how I intend to, you can get 2 10-inch frames. Or you can get 2 14-inch frames out of a 10-yard roll of ribbon. So very, very conscious, budget conscious, very affordable for both you and your customer on the other end. The sale price for these will be in the $99 range. They'll go up as I add greenery and stuff to them, but they'll be in the $99 range for the 14-inch. And I haven't done the exact budget for the 10-inch, but it'll be somewhere in the $70 range. Also notice that I'm keeping that pattern. So I have plaid, pause, plaid, pause, plaid, pause. Keeping that rhythm, that pattern going all the way around so that we intentionally don't have 2 ribbons touching each other. Because then when you look at it as a whole, this is not as easy on the eye as the pattern is. Okay. So if you see a clump of the buffalo plaid, it feels kind of distracting. So I used to cut those off. You still can. You still can. I'm just trying to eliminate a step if I don't have to. If I don't have to cut it off. And since, I say that the next layer is going to cover it, put my money where my mouth is and challenge myself, and you'll see we don't necessarily have to cut it off. Nice and tight down here. Bend it in. Now, if I was adding greenery, you've seen me do this in the past. I've done lives. I even done a live with this frame already. All I did, instead of twisting that, I would just add a little bit of greenery in there and twist it on the top. You could add a little bit of glue if you want. You don't have to necessarily. All right, what we're going to do now from here is add the rest. Now, this roll of mesh was a couple of inches short from the manufacturer. That's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that last piece. This is the piece that came off the roll last, and I'm going to use that starting from my inside layer. Okay. So nothing different. I'm just going to roll this up the center. Now you see how wound that is? That's tight. It's okay because when I undo it and put it in the center of that, it's going to catch on all the mesh that's there, and it's going to help, the mesh that's there already is going to help keep this spread out. Now be a little patient with it because it was around the center of the roll, so it's going to fight you. Just be the boss all the way to the end. Be the boss all the way to the end and grab that. So now you can tell, see how it doesn't fully extend? Now, not that this was the piece that was short, it doesn't fully extend because it was around the center of that tube on the inside of the mesh, and it's wound there. But watch, we're gonna do our job. We're gonna be the boss. So I'm going for that inner piece that we haven't touched yet. Put it right down, mesh all the way to the wood. Notice I didn't move anything else out of the way. Crisscross. Now I'm going to take the same thing. I'm going to go, you're the boss of this. Unravel it. So no one's going to know it was a little short. And because this piece is going to go over here, and the end, this piece is going to be the end, and it's going to go over here, it's going to be just fine. Now that is something we have control over. It comes right from the manufacturer that way. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But now you see how having the 6 pieces that came off the roll at the end is more beneficial to be on the inside here rather than on the outside. Where'd it go? Where'd that 10-inch frame go? I forget now where it went. Anyways, whether it be on the outside, having the other layer in there already really helps keep it the way we want it. And you know what, just for the sake of it being a little easier for y'all to follow, I am going to cut these off. Not that it's just so that you can see what you need and what you don't need. Makes it a little easier. See, because you're not going to end up seeing what's under there. But just so you can see, easier for you to see the difference. Easier for you to see what's going on. Okay, you be the boss, ruffle up all the way towards the edge. All the way, 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 all the way. Right down, all the way down. Overlap. I went with a dog print to kind of highlight our Favorite deco exchange, guys. I was lucky to walk away with these. I walk away from the workshop with this sign in my hand, in my hot little hand, my grandma would say. So the sign itself and the frame, of course, the frames, you can find at CoachMelSupplies.com. All of a sudden I hear people in my backyard, which is not normal. Ruffle these, make sure I'm turning them under. All of them stay turned under. Okay, right down on top. Wait till you see how thin this is. I'm going to put it on the side just a second. Still overlap here. Overlap here. Look how thin. So actually, let me just zoom you out so you can actually really see. Look at how thin that is. Now, yes, I am actually bragging on how thin it is. Yes, that's a thing. Again, I want it to fit between the main door and the storm door. I'm going to go right in on top and add our ribbons. To the top. We're going to fluff them in just a second. I'm going to put them in all together. And then we'll go through and fluff. We don't need that. All right, so we're going to take our, now we're going to take our ribbon and definitely fluff them. So you can see all those layers. So making sure your pipe cleaners are nice and tight will allow you to pull these and put them where you want them. Nice layer from the side where you can see the mesh and the ribbons. And then, of course, at the very end, which I'm starting to see myself pull through, pull all of those out so you can make sure you see them from the face of your design. So then I'm going to take our sign. Our sign's going to go here. And then our bow. So we're going to take our ribbon, our bow for our ribbon. And our bow is going to go right here. Okay, so we're going to take our ribbon for, oops, well, how long is it? We're going to take our ribbon for our bow. Our bow, just like the pancake normal, it's going to go right here and cover up the other part of our exposed piece here. So it's going to be a 7-inch on the tail. It's going to be 6-inch on the loop. Same as I always do. Okay. And then we're going to do pinch. So this ribbon is a satiny kind of ribbon. It's adorable paws, but you know, sometimes just like shoes or whatever, it's really cute, but it's not like the best. It's fine. We're totally using it anyways. Pinch, twist. Satin is just a little harder to work with. Loop, pinch, and twist. And we're going to lay that right down in there, right to the bottom. Again, our tail is about 7 inches. Our loops are about 6 inches. Well, they went a little bit over 6 inches. That's okay. So we have 2 loops on one side. We have 2 tails on the other side with 1 loop. We're going to do that same thing to the next layer. Okay, now typically you hear me say I don't like using the same pattern in the bow and in the wreath, but it was so cute, and because I was using that jute color, the burlap color mesh and the same kind of burlap in the tails, I wanted to make sure I brought that a little bit into the bow, and I didn't want to use something else other than the dog bones and the paws, so we just left that the same. It's all right. I totally love it anyways. So same thing. Our tails are going to be a little bit shorter. Our loop is going to be a little bit shorter than that first one there. And we're still going to do 3 loops and 2 tails. So when we spread out that bow, it's going to look just perfect. So we have 2 loops. Oops. 2 loops. 2 tails, 1 loop. Now I'm going to take those 2 tails. Here are the 2 tails. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put the 2 loops opposite of the 2 loops. So these 2 loops are going to go on this side. And then we're going to take a top layer. And I just went with a solid black and white Swiss dot. Totally cute. I love how the Swiss dot looks like the little eyes in the sign. Super cute. My first loop here is going to be about 3 inches, and I'm going to pinch. Now that loop doesn't count when we talk about 3 loops. So I'm going to leave that one just like it is. Twist, loop, and I'm going to make sure the next loops, we still have 3 of those. Twist, loop, pinch, twist, loop, pinch, and twist. There we go. So we're going to take our 2 loops, Now notice, because we had that extra loop, there's a tail on each side. That's fine. I just want to make sure my 2 loops are opposite. So here are my 2 loops. Here are my 2 loops. I'm going to make sure that those go opposite. Okay. I'm going to lift this off here. Push nice and tight. Take our pipe cleaner, wrap it around the center. Now one thing you're going to see me do a little bit different than normal is instead of having one long stem here, I need two because I'm going to wrap that around the that frame. Okay, so before I get going, I'm going to cut my tails. I dovetail those ends so I don't forget any. Okay. So I'm going to bring, here's our pipe cleaner that you can clearly see. I'm going to bring that center loop straight up and work it back and forth so that you can no longer see that pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to fluff our bow from the bottom to the top. Okay, so we have a nice big bow to go right in the center to hide our other pipe cleaners here. Now let's cut those off just so you can see what we mean. We still want to hide them. We don't want to see them. So I'm going to put that right through the center here. And where'd those other tails go? I always put, when I put the pipe cleaner, when I put the bow in, I always make sure that the tails, because this is usually our longest part of the bow, the tails on that first layer. Make sure those come down towards the outside. Actually, this is gonna be okay that way. Okay, while we're at it, let's go ahead and add some. So the way I personally like to do this is I like to add, when we're talking about the metal signs, I like to add 2 little holes, which you do not have to. You could use a zip tie mount, but I personally like to add 2 little holes and a real thin piece of wire. I just poke myself in the eyeball with it. So 2 little tiny holes. Bring it through. You won't see that wire. It's so much going on there. You know, I just noticed the sign has some gray in it, so you could have used some gray. That's one side. The little doggy's got couple little holes going on the side of his face. No one's going to even know or see. And what'll also be nice is I like the way the wire will feed through the mesh easy. Sometimes when you're putting the pipe cleaners through, I always say it's the hardest part of the whole thing. You're fishing those in. Okay, now let's stop for just 1 second. There are holes on the other side of this. Remember our holes here? So, sign, right? Sign, bow. Okay, so I'm gonna fish these wires through either one and or both. I'm gonna fish my wires through those little holes. What you can do, what I've done so far, you can also fish it through the mesh and just wrap it around the whole frame. That might be the easiest part, but if you're looking to really have some space and help guide you with the spacing, definitely I'm going to put these 2 through the sign and then use these for the bow. Okay, so let's do that. And actually, it doesn't matter which ones you use for the sign or for the bow because they're all evenly spaced. So I could use these 2 just as much as I could use those 2. They're all evenly spaced. Okay. Now, this is the tricky part. It is tricky. What you're going to do is make sure you're getting those wires to go through that mesh. Now you might want to put your, put your finger underneath. Now I'm actually putting my finger in between the, see? In between the mesh. So to help guide myself, I put my finger through the mesh and the frame, and I looked for the hole, and I just pulled that through. Super easy. Okay, so I'm going to do that again because I have the other side of it. So that's why I also like the long, that's where the long pipe cleaners will come in handy also. I've partly in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna, so that they don't kind of pull through. You see, I pulled them through the holes. I'm just gonna twist them just for a second so that they don't. While I'm trying to put in the other side, so that they don't let loose. I'm just gonna twist them for a second so that they kind of hold on there. Here's our other two. Now, specifically, I want you to pay attention to the fact that we are covering 1, 2, 3, 4 pipe cleaners. 1, 2, 3, 4 right underneath there. We're covering all of those with our sign. That's the goal. That was the goal before. It's the goal now. Okay. Now again, you don't have to do this. It doesn't have to be going through those holes. The wire seems to make it a little easier to do so. So for those who are having spatial, needed some space help, some balancing help, we got you covered on that, right? So pull those through. Twist them. And take that excess wire and snuggle it right underneath there. No one can see it. Still stays nice and smooth. Not worried about anything poking. So I kept that in there. Let me just unwind this a little bit. And go through and make sure we're good. We are in perfect position. Very good. Okay, and then just wind it. Now, you could use pipe cleaners for that. I really do like using the wire. Again, I like poking those wires through. Perfection, perfection, perfection. I love it. And you see I cut off those two, and we end up using two different ones, two different spots. So I'm just going to cut off these just for you to see. Okay, now we have just this one spot, which happens to be where our bottom holes are that I can use for the bow. Okay, so the bow has the pipe cleaners. So as always, fishing the pipe cleaners through the mesh is the tricky part. And now it's going to be no different. I always would say this is the toughest part. I'm going to look for those holes. Now look, I'm looking in between the mesh and the frame for that hole, okay? It's hard to just feel your way through. hard, but you know what I mean. And we wanted those, the holes that are for the sign and the bow, we wanted them to be, you know, a little opposite, further apart, whatever you want to call it, than the, I'll just turn it over so you can see. So I needed those to go not exactly where this is, because right underneath there, that mesh gets bunched together. So we put them a little further apart, kind of evenly between these bunches and this bunch, right? Twist those, hide it on the inside. Now, very smooth, clean looking back, super great. I just smushed that bow pretty good. Let me put it back in place. Now, we did just make, oops, let's just turn this a little bit. Can we pick this up and, here we go. Okay, remember I said my tails, they were going the wrong direction for me. Okay. Super duper cute. I have all my pipe cleaners hidden. I can see all my ribbon. I cut that one a little bit short. It's fine. It's totally fine. Love, 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 love. Totally great. The last thing I'm going to do is make sure all of my tails are coming out towards the edge. I want to make sure all of my tails are coming out towards the edge and everything's kind of even. This is so perfect. It's so perfect. I love it so much. We have a spot for all the stuff we need. Our sign. Now, if you're using a sign that maybe you're not using a sign that's this way, maybe you're using a sign that goes up and down. Fine. So let's say it's, let's say it just says welcome this way, right? Fine. There's still spots to put your sign. There's still a spot to put your bow. If you don't want a bow here, remember a couple times I've done the pancake style, and instead of doing one big bow, I did a couple of little bows. That's fine. You can just grab that right around the frame and add your bow there. Super duper cute. So many ideas. The possibilities are endless. We have a lot coming in the future. Lots of videos, lots of everything. Now, adorable. And from the side, crazy thin. I know that might seem crazy to some folks, but it's a perk that folks here in Michigan and across everywhere love, because there is storm doors and stuff. So we have the nice big bow still. We have the sign perfectly placed, very nicely balanced, and we have a spot for everything. Your pipe cleaners, your 12 pipe cleaners, your bow, your sign, perfect. Totally and absolutely love it. Now, not that you had to go through both. You could have taken one wire, put it through one hole, taken the other wire and wrapped it around the outside and just attached it right there. Totally fine. I opted to go through both so you could see that option. It'll probably vary as I go along and do them, but that's what it was kind of intended for. I absolutely love it. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I cannot wait to see all of your creations in the future. Again, this is a 14-inch pancake wreath form, along with, I don't know where the other one, oh, here it is. It comes with the 10-inch also pancake wreath form. It comes as a bundle, as you can see, once it fits inside the other. This is going to be on a different video. Watch for both of them. But one roll of mesh, again, will take care of both. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have what came off the rest of that roll was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to use the rest of that roll here on the outside. That'll be in a different video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I cannot wait. I can't wait to start seeing your creations. This is Melissa, Coach Mel. Again, the guys from Deco Exchange, both Damon and Parker, are part of this. It's not just me. It is not just me. It is the two of us. It's the three of us. Who work together to make all of our dreams come true for the pancake style wreath. So thank you very much. I'm excited to see how this goes, and I'll see you all soon. Bye, y'all.